Chris is the Shadow Home Secretary. We often talk to him, and we're going to talk to him right now. And Chris, I think the thing to start off with is Alaa Abdel Fattah, this guy, the British Egyptian political activist. So your leader, Kemi Badenoch, she's basically saying, get him out of the country. I hate people. I do not want people who hate Britain coming into our country. So you can throw him out, but where do you throw him to? Where does he go?
Well, good morning, firstly. Back to Egypt. He's got dual nationality. He's an Egyptian citizen and he is now a British citizen. The government has the power under the 1971 Immigration Act to strip people with dual citizenship of their British citizenship if they are not conducive to the public good. That is the test.
Yeah.
And if I was Home Secretary,
Chris, I understand
today
that,
be stripping him of his citizenship
but
and
Chris, if he has spent
Egypt.
10 years in prison in Egypt, can you really say, back off there, where you go again?
Well, I mean, he's been released from prison in Egypt, and to be honest, people who express racist views, he said he hated white people, he described white people as dogs, he expressed anti-Semitic views, he called for Jewish civilians to be murdered, he called for Downing Street to be burnt down, he called for the British police to be attacked. This man is a scumbag. He has no place in the UK, and if I was Home Secretary, I would strip him of his British citizenship and deport him to Egypt. And if Shabana Mahmood had our country's interests at heart, she would be doing exactly that today.
Okay,
but I bet she won't.
Chris, he has apologised and he's issued a statement saying, look, I really disassociate myself from the person I was then. Does that buy him any good grace from you? No,
none whatsoever. I've read his so-called apology in full, and he's clearly concocted that in response to what he said coming to light. He's had 10 years, or more than 10 years, to apologise, but he hasn't done it. He's only apologising now when what he said has become public. I think it's an insincere apology, and he's even trying to claim some things were taken out of context, or he's claiming he was provoked by the situation in Egypt. I mean, how does the situation in Egypt justify calling white people dogs, calling for the murder of Jews, and calling for Downing Street to be burnt down? No, it's an insincere apology. It's completely pathetic.
Yeah.
It's come very late in the day, and it cuts no ice with me whatsoever.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
He says it was because they were expressions of a young man's anger amidst the wars on Iraq, on Lebanon and Gaza. The thing is, the Tory government also supported this man, and I think many people were saying he's been in jail, as Eamon said, for a long time. There has been 10 years of being able to go and check and see what sort of things he's been saying, and therefore not have him in here in the first place.
Well, he shouldn't have come here in the first place, quite frankly. I don't know the circumstances of him getting citizenship in December 2021. I don't know if that crossed ministers' desks or not. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm now the Shadow Home Secretary. As far as I'm concerned, if I was Home Secretary, I'd be walking around the corner from here into the Home Office right away and stripping him of his British citizenship and deporting him, right? That's what I'd be doing right now if I was Home Secretary.
What would you do with the Prime Minister? I'm sorry for the overhead noise.
Because this man is a scumbag.
The helicopters are overhead there just to make sure you can hear us okay. Sounds as if they're going to land SAS troops or something there. But, no, Chris, so Keir Starmer, he loves to put his arms around people and welcome them and be intellectually caring for people and whatever. He spoke too soon on this guy, didn't he, without really knowing the facts?
Yeah, he did. And, Keir Starmer pontificates about wanting to fight anti-Semitism and then lets people in like this. To be honest, if Keir Starmer and Shabana Mahmood were serious, they'd make sure that anyone in this country who is not a British citizen or who is a dual national, whose British citizenship can be removed, who expresses extremist, racist, anti-Semitic or violent views, gets deported. We've had enough talking. Keir Starmer, people like Keir Starmer, verbally, with words, condemn anti-Semitism and extremism. But we've had enough of words. Words are not good enough anymore. We need action. And that needs to start with deporting people who express extremist, racist, anti-Semitic views, support terrorism, where those people are not British citizens or where they're dual nationals. And if we start deporting those people, starting with this man, but anyone else as well who expresses those views, that will start sending a message that extremism, anti-Semitism, racism, support for violence and support for terrorism is not acceptable, not tolerated in the UK. And we won't just be speaking about it, we'll be taking action by kicking out those people expressing those views. Because frankly, I've had enough of this sort of anti-Semitism, racism and support, anti-white racism and support for violence. I've had enough of it.
Well, thank
you, Chris. The people who express those views should be kicked out if they're not citizens.
Well, that was Chris Philp's message there. Loud and clear, we heard you despite the helicopters overhead, Chris. Thank you very much indeed. Chris is the Shadow Home Secretary. Do you agree with what he's had to say? Have your say today and we'll reflect it on air.
Joining us now is former political advisor Charlie Rowley, and we've been talking to you all morning about this. And can I come back to that point that this is not somebody who has just suddenly emerged on the scene. This is somebody who there have been campaigns to getting him out of prison. He's a dissident. He was a supporter. He's a pro-democracy campaigner at the time of the Arab Spring. He was anti the Muslim Brotherhood, which is why he was welcomed by the British. The British both Tory and Labour.
Yes, that would be his argument, and I couldn't hear what Chris was saying there, so but I imagine he was making the case pretty strongly.
And he should be left. And he should be removed.
And I've read his pieces in the paper today, so I imagine it was much of the same. But yes, look, 10 years ago, people could argue is a long time, but where do you draw the line? If it is about security, about particular people's views, particularly against anti-Semitism, which has been on the rise, I think, in the UK. If you take obviously the attack that happened at the Bondi Beach in Sydney last week, if you look at what happened in Manchester, if you look at banning Israeli and Jewish fans to come to watch a match at Aston Villa in Birmingham,
that was ludicrous. And also the lies that went on about the banning at the time as well.
Precisely. So you can't help but feel that when you then discover someone that wants to come into the UK that has had quite clearly anti-Semitic views that should have been picked up upon, that clearly haven't, so there's a failure of the state to look into this guy in the first place, there's no wonder why people will feel uneasy, particularly when, there is a debate to be had about free speech. We talked about Lucy Connolly being locked up in the past for some of her tweets. Gary Linehan, the writer, Father Ted, met with armed police officers for a tweet that he posted in America about trans, in the UK. So where does the line draw?